The weight of sleep clung to me like a heavy blanket. But something warmer, something alive, pulled me from the depths. My eyelids cracked open to the hazy glow of afternoon sun slicing through half-drawn blinds. And there it was, the steady rise and fall of a chest not my own, brushing against my side. Heart slamming against my ribs like a trap bird. I turned my head slowly, afraid to shatter the illusion, only to lock eyes with the impossible. Riley, Jordan's little brother, lying there as if he'd always belonged in the curve of my arm, his breath a whisper against my skin. I froze, every nerve alight with a cocktail of panic and something dangerously close to longing. Jordan's apartment in Seattle's Capitol Hill had always felt like a safe harbor, a cluttered haven of takeout boxes, gaming consoles, and the faint scent of his cheap cologne lingering from morning's rush to the tech office downtown. I'd crashed here after a brutal deadline, my laptop still humming faintly on the coffee table, sketches of half-formed logos mocking me from the screen. But this was no accident of exhaustion. Riley's lashes fluttered against his cheeks, long and unfairly delicate, and in that suspended second, I saw not the kid brother I'd dismissed as off-limits, but a man whose quiet intensity had been simmering just beneath the surface of every awkward family dinner we'd shared. He stirred then, a soft hum escaping his lips, and his green eyes, stormy as the Puget Sound on a gray day, snapped open to meet mine. No jolt of surprise, no scramble to pull away. Just a slow, knowing smile that curled like smoke, wrapping around my defenses and setting them ablaze. "Hey," he murmured, voice rough from sleep, low enough that it vibrated through the thin space between us. "You snore like a freight train. You know that." I bolted upright, nearly toppling off the couch, my face burning hotter than a summer sidewalk. "Riley, what the hell? Where's Jordan?" The words tumbled out sharper than I meant, laced with accusation. But underneath it all thrummed a current I couldn't name, electric and unbidden. He propped himself on an elbow, mirroring my escape, his t-shirt riding up just enough to reveal a sliver of toned abdomen inked with a delicate tattoo, a compass rose, petals unfurling like secrets waiting to bloom. At 25, he was all lean muscle and effortless grace, the kind earned from late nights in his studio loft, painting abstracts that bled emotion onto canvas. Jordan had always joked about his artsy-fartsy phase, but looking at him now, sprawled in the golden light like some forbidden Renaissance muse, I wonder how I'd ever missed the pull. Out grabbing coffee. Said you'd be dead to the world for hours. Riley's gaze didn't waver, holding mine with a steadiness that made my pulse stutter. He sat up fully, knees brushing mine in the narrow space, and ran a hand through his tousled blonde curls. "You looked peaceful. Didn't want to wake you." There was no apology in his tone, only a quiet challenge, as if he'd been testing waters we'd both pretended weren't there. Memories flooded back unbidden, the way his laugh had lingered a beat too long at Jordan's last barbecue, how his fingers had grazed mine when passing a beer, sparks igniting in the humid July air. I chalked it up to the booze, to the heat, to anything but the truth gnawing at my edges, Alex Harper, 28-year-old graphic designer who'd built a life on clean lines and careful compartmentalization, was unraveling at the seams over my best friend's brother. I swallowed hard, forcing a laugh that sounded brittle even to me. "Yeah, well, next time give a guy some space. Boundaries. Riley." Ever heard of him? But my eyes betrayed me. flicking to the curve of his mouth, the faint stubble shadowing his jaw. He was dressed for a lazy Sunday, faded joggers slung low on his hips, bare feet curling against the rug, and, in that moment, the apartment felt smaller, the air thicker, charged with the scent of his skin, clean and faintly citrusy, like the orchards back home in eastern Washington, where Jordan and I had grown up trading comic books and dreams of escaping small-town monotony. He leaned in, just a fraction, enough to make my breath hitch. Boundaries are for people who are scared. Alex. You. His voice dropped, intimate, like a confession shared in the dead of night. You're terrified. The words landed like a punch, stripping away the flimsy armor I'd worn since college. When I'd buried my first crush under layers of denial and one night stands with women who never quite fit. Jordan knew, of course, had known since that drunken night in our dorm, when I'd spilled it all in a haze of cheap whiskey. He'd clapped me on the back, call me brother, promised nothing changed. And it hadn't. Until now. Before I could muster a retort, the front door clicked open, and Jordan's voice boomed through the hall like a lifeline. Rise and shine. Sleepyhead, got your triple shot Americano, black. No mercy. He rounded the corner, paper cups steaming in hand, his broad frame filling the doorway. At 28, same as me, Jordan was all easy charisma and rumpled hoodies over startup polos, his dark hair perpetually messy from headset calls. He froze mid-step, eyes narrowing as they flicked between us, Riley lounging too close, me flushed and disheveled. Everything cool here. Riley slid back seamlessly, grabbing his sketchpad from the floor with a grin that screamed innocence. Just keeping your boy company. He talks in his sleep, something about deadlines and hot designers. He winked at me, quick and conspiratorial, and I nearly choked on my own tongue. Jordan snorted, handing me the coffee with a raised brow. Sound about right. You two plotting world domination or what? He dropped into the armchair, oblivious to the undercurrent crackling like static before storm. We fell into our rhythm, banter about his latest coding glitch, my client's impossible logo tweaks, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the heat of Riley's proximity, the way his eyes had peeled me open. As Jordan rambled on, Riley sketched idly, his pencil whispering across the page, and I caught glimpses, swift lines capturing the slant of light on Jordan's jaw. Then, subtly, almost hidden, a curve that echoed my own profile, softened at the edges. The afternoon blurred into evening, pizza boxes piling up as we binge-watched some forgettable action flick. Jordan dozed off midway, head lolled back, snores rumbling like distant thunder. Riley and I sat shoulder to shoulder now, the space between us a fragile truce. You ever think about it? He asked suddenly, voice pitched low under the TV's drone. What would it be like if we weren't? You know. Related by proxy. I turned, our faces inches apart again, the room shrinking to just his eyes, flecked with gold in the lamplight. Every damn day since he moved back from Portland, I admitted, the words slipping free like a dam breaking. He'd been gone 2 years, chasing gallery shows and a life less tethered. But now, at 25, he was back in Seattle, crashing at Jordan's while hunting for studio space. But Jordan, he's family. This would wreck everything. Riley's hand found mine then, tentative at first, fingers interlacing with a gentleness that belied the fire in his touch. Look and make it real. For once, his thumb traced circles on my knuckle, sending shivers racing up my arm. The movie exploded into gunfire on screen, but all I heard was my heartbeat. All I felt was him, solid, warm, a promise wrapped in risk. We didn't kiss that night. Not with Jordan snoring feet away. But as I lay awake later, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, Riley's words echoed, carving out space in hollows I'd long ignored. Seattle's rain pattered against the window, a soft requiem for the boy I'd been. And in the quiet, I let myself wonder, what if this was the awakening I'd been napping through my whole life? The next morning dawned gray and relentless, the kind of Pacific Northwest drizzle that seeped into your bones and made you question every choice. I woke alone on the couch, a throw blanket tucked around me. Riley's doing, no doubt, and the apartment hummed with the scent of brewing coffee. Jordan was already at his desk in the corner, typing furiously into his laptop, earbuds in, lost in code. Riley? Nowhere in sight. A note on the kitchen counter, scrawled in his looping script, early critique at the gallery. Dinner tonight? My stomach flipped, a mix of dread and thrill twisting like vines. Dinner. With him. Alone? The implication hung there, bold as the ink on the page. I crumpled it into my pocket, stealing glances at Jordan as I poured cereal. He looked up, pulling out an earbud. You good, man? Looked like you saw a ghost. Just tired. Lie. The truth was a storm brewing, one that could upend the fragile equilibrium we'd built over years of friendship, late-night drives blasting indie rock, holidays with his folks where I'd played the perfect straight-laced sidekick. Jordan had his own scars, a divorce from college that left him gun-shy about love, pouring everything into algorithms and avoidance. Me, I dated sporadically, women mostly, to keep the peace. But it was all surface, polite dinners, chase goodnights, hearts left untouched. By noon, I was back at my own place in Fremont, a converted warehouse loft cluttered with mood boards and empty ramen cups. My job as a freelance designer kept me tethered to screens, pixels my only lovers. But today, focus eluded me. Riley's face haunted every blank canvas, the way his lips quirked when he teased, the depth in his gaze that saw through my facades. I pulled up his Instagram, against my better judgment, scrolling through shots of vibrant street art in Portland, his hands smeared with paint. A selfie from last week's Pride March where rainbow flags framed his defiant smile. Openly queer, unapologetic, while I tiptoed around labels like they were landmines. The day dragged. Each email ping a reminder of normalcy I craved and resented. By evening, nerves jangling, I met Riley at a hole-in-the-wall bistro in Ballard, the kind with Edison bulbs and mismatched chairs, overlooking the Ship Canal where fog rolled in like unspoken fears. He was already there, nursing a gin and tonic, dressed in a charcoal Henley that hugged his shoulders and slim black jeans. Artist smudges faint on his cuffs. You came, he said, standing to pull out my chair, his touch lingering on my arm, a spark that jumped straight to my core. Couldn't stay away. Honesty felt reckless, intoxicating. We ordered pan-seared scallops for him, steak frites for me, and the conversation flowed like the wine we shared. Easy at first, his latest piece, a series on fractured identities inspired by their dad's old letters from Vietnam. My gripe about a client who wanted edgy but safe. But beneath it, tension simmered, glances stretching longer, knees brushing under the table. Tell me something real, Riley said over dessert, his fork pausing midair, eyes locking on mine with that unnerving intensity. What's the one thing you've never told Jordan? I hesitated, the bistro's hum fading to a distant buzz. Rain streaked the windows, blurring the world outside. That I'm in love with someone I shouldn't be. The words hung, heavy with implication, and his breath caught, a flicker of hope mirroring my own terror. He reached across, covering my hand with his, calluses rough from brushes and life. Then stop shouldn't yourself. Alex. Life's too short for closets. His voice cracked, just a hair, revealing the boy who'd come out at 17, facing their conservative parents' stony silence. Jordan's fierce protection, the only shield. I see you, the way you light up when you talk design, how you carry everyone's weight but your own. Let me in. The check came, but we lingered, walking the canal's edge as twilight bled into night. Street lamps flickered on, casting halos on the water, and when he stopped under a dripping awning, turning to me with rain-damp curls framing his face, I didn't pull away. Our lips met, tentative, then fervent, a dam bursting after years of drought. He tasted of gin and possibility, hands framing my jaw as if I were a canvas he longed to map. The kiss deepened, bodies pressing close against the chill. And for the first time, I felt seen, not hidden. But as we broke apart, breathless, headlights swept over us, Jordan's truck idling at the curb, his face illuminated in the dash glow, eyes wide with betrayal. Alex, what the fuck? The world tilted, rain suddenly a torrent matching the roar in my ears. Jordan slammed the door, striding toward us, fists clenched. Get in the truck. Now, his voice was steel, laced with hurt that sliced deeper than anger. Riley stepped forward, protective, but I grab his arm, stay back. This is mine. Jordan, wait. No. He rounded on me, face inches from mine. The brother I'd shared everything with, now a stranger in the storm. You? With him? After all this time, thunder rumbled, punctuating the fracture, and as lightning cracked the sky, I realized the nap had been no accident. It was the spark that ignited the blaze we'd all been circling. Jordan's truck peeled out, tires hissing on wet pavement, leaving Riley and me drenched and dazed under the awning. He pulled me close, arms a fortress against the downpour, but the warmth couldn't touch the ice in my veins. He'll come around, Riley whispered, lips brushing my temple. He loves you too much not to. But doubt clawed at me as we stumbled to his nearby studio, a converted garage, space alive with half-finished canvases and the sharp tang of turpentine. Inside, he peeled off my soaked shirt with gentle hands, toweling my hair as I shivered not from cold but the wreckage I'd wrought. We made love that night for the first time, slow and reverent, bodies learning each other in the flicker of string lights. His skin was a landscape of freckles and scars, a faded burn from a childhood mishap, the tattoo's intricate lines telling stories I'd yet to hear. In his arms, tangled in sheets that smelled of him, I found a piece I'd chased in sketches and solitude. His murmurs of, "You're safe," a mantra against the storm outside. Morning brought no reprieve. My phone buzzed relentlessly, Jordan's texts escalating from, "We need to talk," to, "How could you betray me like this?" Each word a knife twist, reopening wounds from our shared past, the night his ex left, me holding him as he sobbed, the road trip where we'd vowed brotherhood eternal. Riley watched me read them, his own face pale, fingers twisting the hem of his sleep shirt. "Go to him," he said finally, voice steady despite the tremor. "Fix what you can. I'll be here." I found Jordan at our old haunt, a dive bar in Pioneer Square, where the jukebox played Springsteen on loop and the bartender knew our poisons. He nursed a whiskey neat, eyes red-rimmed. The man who'd always been my anchor now adrift. "Sit," he grunted, sliding a stool out. I did, the silence stretching taut as a wire. "It's not betrayal," I started, voice raw. "It's me, finally being honest. Riley, he sees parts of me you never could. Not because you didn't try, but because I trailed off, searching for words that wouldn't shatter us further. Because he's the one you want." Jordan's laugh was bitter, hollow. I saw it coming. You know, the looks, the excuses to hang back when he was around. But fuck, Alex, I thought we were solid. You and me against the world. We are. I reached for his shoulder, the familiar breath grounding me. This doesn't erase that. It adds to it. Love's not a zero-sum game. Man, he drained his glass, slamming it down with a crack that made heads turn. Easy for you to say. Try being the straight brother in a family that barely tolerates one gay kid. Now there's two. Dad's already on my case about fixing things. Their father, a retired cop with a mustache like steel wool and opinions forged in the 80s, had thawed slightly for Riley's sake, but grudgingly. Jordan, the golden boy, bore the weight of expectations like a yoke. We talked for hours, words pouring out like the rain that had eased to a mist, my fears of losing him, his ache of feeling replaced, the tangled threads of loyalty and desire. By last call, tentative peace settled, not forgiveness entire, but a bridge rebuilt plank by plank. "Don't fuck him over," Jordan warned as we hugged goodbye. "Grip fierce, or I'll kick both your asses." Back at Riley's, I relayed it all, collapsing into his embrace on the worn leather couch. He laughed, a sound like sunlight breaking clouds, pulling me down with him. "Told you. Family bends. Doesn't break." But his eyes held shadows, hints of his own battles, the rejection that sent him to Portland. The gallery rejection letters piled like accusations. Weeks blurred into a rhythm, both exhilarating and edged with caution. Dates stolen in Seattle's underbelly, murals in Fremont under starless skies, ferry rides to Bainbridge where we'd kiss on the deck, wind whipping secrets away. Riley's art flourished. A new series born of us, duets in oil, colors bleeding where our worlds met. My designs sharpened too, bolder lines infused with the vulnerability he'd unlocked. Jordan tested the waters, joining us for beers, his jabs at Riley laced now with reluctant affection. "Don't corrupt my best friend too much." Squirt, yet cracks lingered. One night, after a gallery opening where Riley's work hung proud, critics praising the raw intimacy that made my chest swell, we argued. I'd snapped at a lingering admirer, jealousy flaring ugly and unfamiliar. "You think I can't handle my own life?" he shot back, voice rising in the loft's echo. "I've fought for mine without a safety net. You hide behind Jordan's approval like it's oxygen." The word stung, truth barbed with pain. I stormed out into the chill, wandering rain-slick streets until my phone lit with his text, "Come back." We fight because we care. Hours later, we reconciled in the dark. Apologies whispered against skin, making promises in the language of touch. But the real tempest brewed at Thanksgiving. Jordan's folks sprawling ranch outside Spokane. Invites extended awkwardly. Me as the friend, Riley as family. But tensions simmered like overboiled gravy. Their dad, Tom, grunted greetings. Eyes appraising him. Linda, fussed with pies. Her smiles tight. Dinner was a minefield. Politics skirted. Football blaring distraction. Then, over coffee, Tom cornered us in the den, mustache twitching. Heard some things. About you two. His voice was gravel, laced with that old-school discomfort. Riley stiffened beside me, hand finding mine under the table, a lifeline. It's true, Dad. Alex and I. We're together. The room froze. Linda's cup clattering in saucer. Jordan tensing across the way. Tom's face reddened, but he didn't explode. Instead, a sigh escaped, heavy as harvest wind. World's changing faster than I can keep up. Just don't let it ruin you boys. It was an endorsement, but it was space, a crack in the wall. Linda teared up, hugging us both, murmuring about love's quiet miracles. That night, in the guest room's creaky bed, Riley traced my spine, breath warm on my neck. See? Bending. We made love softly. The house's snores a distant chorus. Gratitude weaving through every caress. Spring unfurled. Cherry blossoms dusting queen and like confetti. And with it came the proposal, not of rings, but futures. Riley's big show in New York loomed. A crossroads, follow him east. Or anchor here with Jordan's startup pulling me and his partner. The night before his flight, we climbed to Cary Park. City lights sprawling below like a canvas awaiting strokes. I can't lose you, I confessed. Wind tugging at our jackets, his a paint-flecked denim. Mine will over flannel. Then come with me. Design the city's pulse while I paint its heart. His eyes shone, earnest, alive. Jordan had given his blessing weeks prior. Over whiskey, go build your empire. Man, I'll hold the fort. Decision made in a kiss that tasted of salt and forever. We boarded the plane hand in hand. Seattle shrinking to a glittering memory. New York swallowed us. Lofts in Brooklyn. Gallery buzz. Nights tangled in sheets amid skyline views. Challenges came. Homesickness. Creative droughts. A homophobic landlord we outlasted with legal grit. But through it, our love deepened. Roots twisting resilient. Years later, at our commitment ceremony in a Soho rooftop garden, Jordan best man. Toasting with tears, Riley slipped a ring on my finger. Simple platinum, etched with a compass rose. You woke me up that day, he whispered, and I've been navigating by you ever since. In the quiet aftermath, as stars pricked the dusk, I held him close. The boy from the nap, now my compass true. Life's storms had bent us, but never broken, and in that unbreakable bond, we found grace.